no president of Nigeria, no administration in Nigeria has ever beaten the bullet that Bola Tinubu beat. Nobody. Because for the past 20 years, everybody has been dodging the ball, dodging the bullet.
Guys, you see, I just came across Doyin Okukpe's video. The former spokesperson to Peter Obi, you understand, Doyin Okukpe, who was indicted at a point and then later resigned. Now, I came across his irritating video. The video, they're very, very irritating. Now, when Doyin Okukpe resigned from Labour Party, okay, I did make a video against him and said, even Labour Party made a video against him. If you want to resign and go peacefully. Don't come and be using some languages, you understand? Now, this guy, there also a video where the guy looked very sick. He said, Tinubu is the Jesus. Tinubu is the Jesus that have come to rescue Nigeria. I understand. See, I'm sorry, I don't like speaking against tribe. I don't like my speak against tribe. But you see, I'm tempted to say, now let God go know. To try for Nigeria where go hard me to ever trust. I'm not my fault to one Yoruba. You see the other type, all these Urobo people. I am telling you, I get the mind. Somebody cannot there. You hear my mind. Say some of this Yoruba, when it comes to, you don't feel trust them when it comes to hypocrisy. Why do Robotai still get that kind some level of wayo and there's a big quarrel? I'm just saying, my team, please. I don't want to talk too much. Just listen to the irritating video of Doyin Okukpe. Watch him. Tell you watch him. Watch Ned. Okay, Ned Media responded to him. Okay, I don't want to talk more than this. I bet before you watch this video, let me give the thumbs up so that Facebook and YouTube can recommend it. Okay, and let me share this video. I just did shame on behalf of Doyin Okukpe. I did shame on behalf of his children as well.
No administration in Nigeria has ever beaten the bullet that Bola Tinubu beat. Nobody. Because for the past 20 years, everybody has been dodging the ball, dodging the bullet. The issue of fuel subsidy during campaign, everybody agreed that it must go. Because if he says, oh, we're going to remove fuel subsidy, but we're going to do it, if he didn't on that day, he would never have been able to do it. And yet somebody, it's like, I always, I'm an evangelist and I must say, it is in heaven when God was saying, who is going to go for us? That is somebody has to come and be crucified for the world. And Jesus Christ said, send me. That's what Bola Tinubu has done. He has sent himself into this quagmire, into this doldrum, into this financial and economic disaster.
Well, this must be in dreamland or in another planet, not in Nigeria. He's not the savior of anyone. Rather, he's the demolisher and calamity that befell Nigerians. Why do Nigerian politicians have the penchant for inflicting hardship on Nigerians? Maybe it's because they've been living off government funds for many decades. Take for instance someone like Tinubu. From the very first day he stepped into the government house in Lagos in 1999, he started living off government funds, just like many others. So he has never bought petrol or diesel with his own money. The 8 years he spent in the government house in Lagos, the state took care of his personal expenses. Aware that he will start paying with his personal money after leaving office, he made sure that a pension law was passed. That pension law gave him humongous payments as if he was still earning the money as a governor. Yes, a former governor in Lagos earns as much as a sitting governor in pensions. So Lagos State has been funding his personal expenses ever since he left office, and now the Nigerian state has taken over. That's why they live in an alternate reality. Look at Akpabio. He spent 8 years as governor in Akwa Ibom State. After that, he served under Buhari's administration, and now he's the Senate president. So for several years, he has never run a business to understand challenges that businesses face in Nigeria. He has been earning salaries, pensions, and allowances from government. How about the CJN? He has been earning salaries and allowances for the past 35 years. He doesn't understand what it means to survive as an ordinary Nigerian. And Tinubu has repaid them for what they did for him during the election litigation by increasing their salaries to about 5 million naira per month. So it's a pity that Doyin Okukpe is pushing this narrative. They always try to make it as if we have no other choice, that he met a bad situation, that no one else could have done better. whether it is P2B or Atiku or any other person that found himself there, that we would have still found ourselves in the same situation. No. They should start by checking the price of goods before he struck in May 29th, 2023. They should start by checking the inflation figures, all indices. They should look at all of them to see that it wasn't as bad. It was his singular decision to remove subsidy on May 29th, 2023 that made an already bad situation worse. There's no denying this fact. No level of pushing of narratives will change this fact. There's no denying the fact that Tinubu put the cart before the horse. Yesterday, they just commissioned an NNPC CNG station in Lagos. This is coming after 1 year petrol subsidy was removed. Shouldn't they have done this first before removing the petrol subsidy? In an economy that relies heavily on fuel and diesel to power factories and SMEs, why remove that petrol subsidy, which of course tripled the cost of petrol and diesel? No economy in the world can survive such increase in the price of fuel and diesel, not to talk of in Nigeria where we don't have alternatives. Fuel and diesel are used in homes to power homes because the power supply is inefficient. Not to talk of factories, businesses, everywhere, even government offices, you see generators powering their operations. And after looking at all this, he decided to increase the cost of petrol by 3 times. This is not how saviors operate. Rather, it is how destroyers and destiny crushers operate. Let's take it back a bit. During the presidential election campaigns, nearly all the candidates agreed that petrol subsidy has become a serious burden on Nigeria, therefore that it must be removed. But the approach is what differs. P2B specifically said that he will first of all tackle the criminality surrounding petrol subsidy, that the amount of fuel they say we consume every day in Nigeria is suspect. He made comparisons with Pakistan and many other things he said. So if his approach was taken, the result would have been different. So you can imagine what Tinubu would have found out if he conducted an investigation into the affairs of subsidy payments to find out whether the subsidy payments were overinflated by up to 100%. That would have saved Nigeria a lot of money. That's one part. Now the other part is, if he truly wanted to remove petrol subsidy to help boost Nigeria's economy in the long run, he wouldn't have approached it in a crude manner. No business can survive. Even a manufacturer cannot in an instant increase the price of his goods by 3-fold. All his customers will run away. So he should have set a timeline of like 1 year. It took them 1 year to build one NNPC CNG station in Lagos. So imagine if they did that simultaneously in many cities. Major cities like Kano, Kaduna, Onitsha, Port Harcourt, many other cities in Nigeria. Let's assume they started working on building at least 3 or 4 stations scattered around these major cities so that it will be enough for motorists to buy CNG from them. While they are working on CNG stations, they will also be working on conversion kits for cars. In fact, it is an opportunity to even boost Nigeria's economy by manufacturing most of these kits in Nigeria. It can be done. So imagine they did all this and targeted about 80 or 90% of public transport vehicles to be converted to CNG. A serious patriot that loves his country would have found a way to provide credit to public transport owners so that they can pay a little amount and get their vehicles converted, while the rest will be spread over 1 year or 1 year and 6 months. If they did all this in 1 year, that's right about now, they would have simply increased the price of petrol by 200 naira, bringing it to 400 naira per liter. It wouldn't have crushed the economy the way it affected it. It wouldn't have affected the cost of transportation because majority of the public transport vehicles would have been converted to use CNG. After the transport sector, their next step would have been to focus on SMEs that use petrol to power their operations. All SMEs that use 10 to 20 kilowatt hours per day of electricity, they can push them to solar. It's the role of government to find solutions. They should find ways to make them to use solar energy. That way, the grid can be freed for bigger factories so that they can have more power available to them. The ones that can't use solar energy, they will find ways to make sure that they use CNG to power their generators. This is the job of the government. Their job is to find solutions to problems in the economy, not to destroy the hard work of people. That's why companies are leaving Nigeria. Is Doyin Okukpe aware that many companies are leaving Nigeria? If there is truly a savior that came to save Nigeria's economy and save them from hardship, why are these companies allergic to being saved? Why are they doing the opposite? Why are they not waiting to be saved by the ultimate savior? You see, it's futile trying to defend the indefensible. Doyin Okukpe is trying to make Nigerians understand that there's a savior somewhere trying to save us. Does he know better than these companies that made millions of dollars worth of investment in Nigeria, which they have all abandoned and ran away for their lives? Even Dangote is complaining about the massive losses manufacturers made the last 1 year because of Naira devaluation. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria are estimating that about 300 billion naira worth of goods are stocked in warehouses of many manufacturers. These goods are unsold because of low purchasing power. There is no money. Many people are focused on food alone, buying food. They no longer buy luxuries. How about millions of Nigerian shareholders in many companies that weren't paid dividends this past year? Because many of these companies made massive losses. In fact, some of them used shareholders' funds to offset the losses they made due to exchange rate differences and Naira devaluation. Do you know the difference it would have made if millions of people were paid dividends? Say, for instance, 10 million people were paid dividends of 10,000 naira each. They wouldn't eat the money raw. They would have hit the markets to shop. That would have boosted the Nigerian economy. That would have led to increase in sales and earnings for many merchants in Nigeria. But all that didn't happen because of one man. And someone has the audacity to refer to that man as a savior. You see, the worst part of all this is that despite the hardship and suffering they brought on Nigerians through their failed IMF policies, they still find ways to blame Nigerians for it. The political class failed to provide Nigeria with working refineries. Instead, they focused on importation of petroleum products because of the corruption surrounding subsidy payments. And now that it has become a problem to sustain the subsidy, they have shifted the burden to Nigerians. There's no country in the world that doesn't have one sort of subsidy or the other to support their people. If local refineries were working, they would have been buying crude oil in Naira. There wouldn't have been any need to subsidize petrol in Nigeria. It's not as if the political class are not aware of this. Look at how petrol importation started. It started by swaps. They used to ship crude oil to these refineries and they received refined petrol in return. That was how it started in the 90s. It reached to the extent that they started buying petrol outright. So all this energy they expend on pushing narratives and focusing on 2027 elections that is still